suburbs of Czechoslovakia, evil often hides in plain sight. In the years following World War II, Czechoslovakia bore witness to one of its most terrifying serial killers in history. His name was Hubert Pilčík, a man who appeared calm and kind on the surface, but harbored a dark and sinister soul. The serial killer operated between 1948 and 1951, ruthlessly murdering his victims. While officially convicted of 5 murders, the actual number of his victims likely reached 10. Hubert Pilčík may go down in history as the killer with the highest number of victims in Czechoslovakia. But who was these men behind the mask of normalcy? The warning signs, a friendly face, and a deadly soul. Not all monsters like monsters. Some blend seamlessly into everyday life. Hubert Pilčík lived in Belgium and worked as a locksmith at the Skoda factories. He was married to Antonia, an 11-year younger woman, but their marriage remained childless. In his neighborhood, Pilcik, known as a nature lover and herbalist, he even made the bizarre claim that he had survived the sinking of the Titanic. But behind this calm exterior lay dark secrets. What drove these seemingly ordinary men to commit such extraordinary horrors? For Pilcik, murder wasn't just a crime. It was calculated game of deception and destruction. One of Pilcik's victims was Emanuel Bali and his daughter Renata. Renata, a professional photographer, had met Pilcik at her photo studio before it was nationalized. She recommended him as a smuggler to her clients. Eventually, she and her family sought his help to cross the border. But Pilcik had other plans. On March 6, 1951, Pilcik took Emanuel Bali to the Lipovka forest. There struck him with a truncheon to the back of the head, doused his body with motor oil and set him on fire. Forensic analysis revealed that Emanuel Bali had been burned alive. Can you believe it? Of course. Renata met an equally horrifying fate. Pilcik stunned her with a sand-filled bag, strangled her with a rope, and buried her body in a sand pit. Her remains were discovered months later by children collecting sand. But Pilcik's worst crime was against Daniela or Dagmar, Renata's niece. He kept her chained to a wooden board in a goat shed, where he sexually abused and tortured her for weeks. To silence her screams, he placed a double-walled box filled with rags over her head. He forced her to write letters to convince her relatives that he had successfully smuggled Renata and Emmanuel across the border. After weeks of captivity, Daniela was found alive by the police, but in a severely weakened physical and mental state. How could one man inflict so much suffering without being caught for so long? The arrest. End of the game. Even the cleverest predator can be cornered when the net closes in. Pilcik's crime came to light when one of Renata's friends tipped off the police. On September 6, 1951, under the pretext of changing an electric clock, two officers entered his home and arrested him. Inside, they found hundreds of personal items and documents belonging to his poor victims. These items confirmed that he had killed at least 5 people. However, Pilcik refused to cooperate with investigators. He confused to crime that never happened while denying those he had actually committed. He confessed to crimes that never happened while denying those he had actually committed. Ultimately, before he could face trial, Pilcik allegedly committed suicide in his cell on September 9, 1951. Or so it seemed. Some reports suggest he may have been beaten to death by prison guards. But was he this truly the end of this story? Or just another layer of mystery? Unanswered question. The true number of victims. The deeper you dig, the darker the secrets become. The exact number of Pilcik's victims was never determined. In his home, police found numerous personal belongings, clothing, and suitcases that likely belonged to missing persons. He also buried partially burned documents in his garden. Pilcik claimed these items were rewards for his smuggling activities, but such items were typically carried by people attempting to flee the country. how many lives did Pilcik destroy? And how many stories remain untold? The end of the story, the land of shadows. Some stories don't end. They linger, haunting us from the shadows of history. Pilcik never made it to trial, taking his secrets to the grave. However, his history inspired films, books, and documentaries. The famous series 30 Cases of Major Zaman and the film Beauty and the Beast 1950 were influenced by his case. Even his severed head, preserved in alcohol, is now kept at the Police Museum in Czech Republic. But why does its legacy continue to fascinate and terrify us to this day? Conclusion: a horror that will never be forgotten. Evil doesn't always announce itself. It often whispers until it's too late. Hubert Pilčík, a man who appeared kind but was truly monstrous, stands as one of the most terrifying serial killers in Czechoslovakia history. His story is not just a criminal case. It is a chilling reminder of how appearances can deceive and how darkness can hide beneath a mask of calm. And as we peel back the layers of his crimes, we are left wondering, how well do we really know the people around